school and all of a sudden the schools fail. And then that's a problem for the government because the government has promised to deliver something that they're not delivering. Parents have to, we have to get together and we have to go after the government for our money back. We want a refund.
It sounds great. I just don't know if a PTA, because you think about it, a PTA is like an organization for parents that is perpetuating the growth of the school, right? So parents have to get mobilized outside of that environment. And, I need to see, how we got to get parents mobilized that way. It's hard to do, right?
It is hard. And what happens is when you leave the school and you're educating your child for yourself and you're realizing what a sham the education system is in this country and the fact that you were convinced by our educators that you're not good enough and that you don't need to have that parent-child relationship that is so precious, that bond that you can grow with your child by being the child's educator, because rest assured, when your child crosses the threshold of the school, they leave behind your authority. Your authority is immediately undermined. Now, I don't put the blame, by the way, just so we're clear, I don't put the blame on the teachers for this. I blame the system, and I blame the people who organized this system. But the children enter the school is then the authority. What kind of authority? Everything wisdom. So don't be surprised when you have a surly teenager who doesn't give a crap about what mommy or daddy thinks, because they've been taught for 8 years that mommy and daddy don't really have a valuable opinion on many things.
Right. They become inferior to the system. And I see it now with my nephew. He came back from school with a couple of bad habits, even in pre-K. Coming back with, a little bit more of a sassy mouth, a little bit more of an attitude that he picks up from his friends, and that it seemed to be tolerated in the school. So even in those formative behavioral points early on, it starts there almost.
Well, we've hamstrung the teachers. They're not allowed to discipline. They're not allowed to reprimand. I mean, you've got kids showing up to high school with their cell phones, and they're calling mommy and daddy over every little thing the teacher does.
That's the other side of it, too. Absolutely. Well, listen, I know that your time is precious. We got a lot to talk about, but I want to make sure everybody knows that they're going to be picking up They're Your Kids. The book comes out April 30th, right?
Yes, but it's available for pre-sale on my website. Go to samsorbo.com or go to theyreyourkids.com and you can find it for pre-sale. And then it goes live, it drops actually April 30th. And thank you so much. And I want to send send the parents of your nephew a book. So we'll do that offline. But
that would be fantastic
for having me on. I really want
it's my pleasure. Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. I love free stuff. And by the way, I want everybody also to go to. Well, let's give you the extra plugs now because you're giving away the free stuff. Go on Twitter at the Sam Sorbo Show. And by the way, I had the pleasure of interviewing your husband at CPAC about 2 years ago. Oh, and I have to say congratulations to him because he married up. And he did a fantastic job there. And listen, anything that we can do to help promote the book further, we're happy to do here. We love all the work that you're doing. Go get this book, everybody. They're Your Kids. Pre-sale right now at samsorbo.com. And if you want to wait till it hits the bookstores and you're old like me and you want to handle it that way, April 30th is the date. We'll be sure to remind you about that as well.
Thank you so much, Gene.
We're about at halftime here at the show. Thanks for listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio. I'm Gene. Russ is not here right now. Please leave a message after the beep. And while you're waiting for the beep, you can check us out at www.behindenemylines.radio.us. Check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters at BEL_radio. And if you miss any part of the live show, which is usually live, but this week's on tape, Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker, you can check us out at any one of our rebroadcast outlets, including WJHC 107.5 FM in Jasper, Florida, WDDQ 92.1 FM in Adel, Georgia, and welcome to WLBB 1330 AM in Carrollton, Georgia, all part of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. You can also check us out at KLRN Radio, High Plains Talk Radio and Sackheads Media, ICRN, the Internet Conservative Radio Network, and Lanterns Radio. But even if you missed those rebroadcasts, check us out on demand as a podcast on iTunes, Podbay, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player FM. You can discover us on Google Play Music, SoundCloud, and also on iHeartRadio. We're getting around, and the show's growing by leaps and bounds seemingly every week here. And one of the big reasons for that is our Buffoon of the Year contest. Who you got, America? We're down to the final 4 in our Buffoon of the Year. We started out with 16 buffoons gathered together in one place, put into a tournament-style bracket at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. And we've been whittling it down to see who was the biggest buffoon of 2016. Right now, it is down to Donna Brazile, the Huffington Post, Anthony Weiner, and Colin Kaepernick. You see, we've pulled from every walk of life to see who we got here in America as the biggest buffoon. And we're getting down to it. We have a little bit more time left this week for the semifinal vote, and then we're going to do the finals all next week. And in our first show, 2016, we will reveal Buffoon of the Year. But you have to let us know. This is a fan-friendly show, folks. We need you to participate. Get to voting, all right? Let us know who you got in Buffoon of the Year. Folks, this has been a great year. It's been a lot of fun. As you see, it's not all serious politics on this show. We have a little bit of fun here and there. We love our 2-drink minimum radio, and we love it when our friends who come on to the show and participate with us forget to take their meds, and we have no medication Tuesdays. It's a lot of fun. It's part of that camaraderie that I was talking to you about with our family of friends, and it's a great time. But we do get serious. We do talk a lot about issues and topics of concern, and we get together with a lot of great people, including Congressman Lou Barletta. Congressman Barletta has been on the forefront of an issue that is just now, again, picking up steam, and mainly because of Donald Trump. The issue of illegal immigration, and specifically sanctuary cities. Now, Congressman Barletta did a great job when we were at the Hold Their Feet to the Fire event in discussing and framing the issue of sanctuary cities and the work that he's been doing since he was a mayor in Pennsylvania and has tried to bring to the federal level. And he's been on the forefront of this for a very long time. Congressman Barletta may find that 2017 might be the year his issue of concern, his main issue, finally gets some traction. Because as we've seen in the early moments of the Trump's transition, President-elect Donald Trump has said, if you will be a sanctuary city, you will lose out on federal funding. And this sent a lot of cities like Chicago, the People's Republic of New York City, San Francisco, and other places almost apoplectic. I mean, we saw Rahm Emanuel hold a press conference in direct defiance of the president-elect. We saw, Warren Wilhelm, the real name of New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, this wingnut, defy the president-elect. And by the way, for those of you who are listening in the People's Republic of New York City, seems to be some grand jury work going into the fundraising efforts of one Mayor Bill de Blasio. I know I'm enjoying that, and I can't wait to see if he's the next one to hit on our corruption clock. If you check out www.behindenemylinesradio.us, we have a little corruption counter, kind of like that, the little cartoon sign that says 0 days since our last accident that you see on, like, work sites and whatever. We have that for political corruption in New York State. At last count, it's somewhere around, 40 days or so? 44 days. 9 hours or so since the last news out of the People's Republic of New York of another politician biting the dust, as it were. So maybe Bill de Blasio's next. But back to the topic of sanctuary cities. Congressman Barletta on our Hold Their Feet to the Fire show did a tremendous job of outlining the importance of the issue, what the issue actually is, and what can be done to deal with it. So enough of me talking about it. Here's Congressman Lou Barletta talking about sanctuary cities. Gene Baradelli back behind enemy lines, and I have the pleasure right now to sit down with the representative from the 11th District of the great state of Pennsylvania, Congressman Lou Barletta. Sir, thank you for coming on the show, and tell us about your involvement with FAIR. I believe you're on the Board of Advisors, right?
I am, Gene. I've been doing this now for 10 years. It goes back to my time as mayor of Hazleton when I first started to come down here, and I've been doing it every year.
Well, let's talk about your term as mayor, because that's really where you started dealing with the issue of illegal immigration. It's not just a federal issue; it's a local issue.
Yeah, it is. There's no question. Nobody here in Congress saw it from with the same perspective that I saw it, trying to deal with it as a mayor of Hazleton. Our population in Hazleton grew by 50%, but our tax revenue stayed the same. When I realized we had an illegal immigration problem, I came down and met with the Department of Justice in December of 2005. They brought all these experts in to talk to me. I told them about the problem that I had, the crime and the illegal immigration problem. And what they gave me at the end of the day was a nice coffee mug, a lapel pin, a pat on the back, and they sent me home. I realized that the federal government wasn't going to do anything to help me on a local level. A couple months later, May 10th, 2006, day I'll never forget, Derek Kishline, 29-year-old city man, father of 3 children. I had some words with the head of the Latin Kings, Pedro Cabrera, someone who was in the country illegally, arrested 6 times in New York and left go. Comes to Hazleton. Cabrera goes in his car, gets a gun, sticks it in Derek's face, shoots and kills him. We spent half of our yearly budget in overtime in the police department in catching Cabrera and his buddy, and I had enough. Enough was enough, and I created the first law in America dealing with illegal immigration. I was immediately sued the next day by illegal aliens who were defended by the ACLU pro bono. I fought it all the way to the Supreme Court, became a national issue, although we did not win. Because of the liberal Third Circuit Court that I had to face. We paved the way for other states and municipalities across America. Arizona used the business portion of my ordinance, and Fremont, Nebraska used the entire ordinance. So it's been a long fight for me, and now I got here to Washington, and I got to see behind the curtains and see exactly what I knew all along from the time I was mayor. There's no real will here to do anything about illegal immigration.
Let's talk about what it's like behind the curtains when it comes to this issue. And you say that there's no will. Tell us exactly what you mean by that. Does that mean that there's no political courage to take on the issue and to call it what it is?
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely correct. Listen, it's for a politician, this is not a topic that you want to be out front on because they're worried about getting reelected. You're going to be called a lot of names. Listen, I've had threats. I've been called every name in the book. It goes on and on and on. I've had to have the police sit outside my house some nights because of the fact that I stood up and said what I thought I saw, not what I thought I saw, what I know. No, there's no real will here. People talk the talk, but there's not any action. I mean, here we are. I'm telling you a story about 2006. It's 2016. We're still talking about our open borders. And the threat has gotten worse. Think about it. 2006, we just thought about people coming here taking our jobs, depressing the wages of the American worker. Then we learned, listen, this is the way the drug cartel gets here. Now it's even worse. It's even worse than that. Radical Islamic terrorists are here. And it's still not enough for people here in Washington to say, hey, I think it's a good idea if we secure our borders and we know who's coming into this country. Very first bill I introduced when I got here would prohibit $1 federal to go to any city that declares itself a sanctuary city.
Thank you for bringing up this issue, because I come from the People's Republic of New York City, where we're allocating $60 million for municipal IDs that can be picked up by anybody in a public library and apply for it, and then they can have ID. There's a movement now in the New York City Council to allow for a second type of ballot for illegal immigrants to be able to vote in municipal elections. It's absolute insanity to me to think that government that is basically paid for by citizens who are here legally, whose families have been here for generations, who have a vested interest in what happens in government, are now being diluted by liberals, really, who are fighting for rights for people who don't even respect the laws of this country.
Well, what's crazy is that we have elected officials who are giving more rights to illegal aliens than United States citizens would have. A sanctuary city, they are creating a safe haven where the government will protect the identities of people who have knowingly broken our laws, coming here to the United States, taking our jobs, putting Americans' national security at risk, because we don't know who is who. We don't know the background of any individual that have skirted the interview process. We have government officials protecting illegal aliens. When I was sued by the illegal aliens when I created that law in Hazleton, the illegal aliens went to the judge and asked if they could have their identities protected, which he granted. We weren't.
Wait. So they were suing, but they didn't want anybody to know who they were.